Hi, everybody. Tuesday afternoon, 2:30. Meteorologist Rod Hill coming to you from Vancouver. And I hope you're enjoying today. It's great, right? It's been a little brighter than what we have been seeing. Temperatures seem to be on track at 2:30 in the afternoon for most of the Willamette Valley, including Portland, Salem, and Vancouver, to get up to 80, if not a little bit warmer. We've been in the 70s the last couple days, so enjoy it. I want to jump right into the first topic, which is rain coming in overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And the second topic is for the first time this summer, it still seems likely that we will go beyond 2 days in a row of 90 plus degree temperatures and hit 90 for at least three, if not 4 days in a row, with the threat of 100-degree temperatures at least still a possibility. That all starts on Sunday. So this is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. You can see rain moving in. And again, this is not just, there's scattered showers. No, this is a weather front moving in that could bring us a period of somewhat steady rain, at least to parts of the North Valley up into Washington. And then here's that heat wave map Sunday and the Tuesday of next week. Strong upper level ridge offshore in the Pacific this time. You can see the bubble in dark red of the hot weather, especially here on the western portion of Oregon and Washington. So we will get into all of that. All right, my forecast is always brought to you by the Momentous Wealth Podcast. Listen on Apple Podcasts, listen on Spotify. These are investment topics for you to choose from, not to educate you. The Momentous Wealth Podcast. All right, here's a satellite picture. Let's get to it. So, right here, look at my cursor. There's no marine push today, right? In fact, this is still showing there's sunshine at the coast up and down here in Oregon, clouding up in western Washington. This surge of cloudiness will eventually move into the valley. I think at some point this evening we'll cloud over. We'll wake up tomorrow morning with some rain. You see a little surge of disturbance right in here that is on track to move right up into the North Valley, meaning Portland. There's a surface front that's harder to see on this imagery, but see the little speckled clouds? Those are cold clouds. So we know that's behind the surface front because that's chilly air. So the surface front probably is right in here that's going to drop through tomorrow morning. So let's get to the animations. This is the National Blended Model. Remember, I still look at the European model individually. I still look at the American GFS model individually. Not every day, but if there's a discrepancy, I'll look at the Canadian model individually. The National Blended Model and the North American model from the Weather Service. The National Blended Model took those models and put them together and came out with an interpolated result. So, mostly it's the most reasonable model to look at. So this is this afternoon at 5 p.m. The green is what we're looking at. This is a late evening going into the midnight hour. Rain now in western Washington, Long Beach, Astoria. Starting to see light rain down in the Tillamook, but still dry in the valley. And then I'll play this into 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So again, the bullseye of this system is Washington, no doubt about it. Look at the steady moisture, not scattered, but steady. 5 in the morning, western Washington all the way into the Washington Cascades, and some of that moisture spilling over the Cascades. Meanwhile, down here in Portland, where you see the gray, just kind of on the southern tail so far. The front comes through in the morning, and then here is, oh, pardon me, 11 o'clock in the morning. Again, most of this moisture in terms of steady, widespread rains up in Washington. We've got the trailing moisture that goes all the way down to Newport. A little bit of rain in Portland, again, traceable amounts in Salem. So if this is correct, and again, this is 11 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up tomorrow morning, there will be some rain on the radar, but primarily Portland or northward. Anything south of Portland would be light in the valley. And maybe you folks in Salem get through your morning commute with just traces of rain and cloudy skies. While Portland sees light rain, it's tough to tell if it's enough to mess with the roadways and commute or not, but get up early and be prepared. This is 2 in the afternoon. So it makes sense that this is a weak front. And because it's a weak front, it kind of takes a while to push through our area. So you have this lingering threat of showers, mostly light. Again, here is 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Again, you've got rain up in parts of Clark County and Cowlitz County. But once you get south of the Columbia River, downtown Portland, it's pretty light stuff, and with a light chance of moisture down through Salem and Corvallis and lingering up the coast. Now, by the time we get into the evening hours, here is 11 p.m. tomorrow night. shower activity in Washington still shows a trace of moisture, light stuff in the western gorge and baking up against the Cascades, and that's about it. All right, so how much are we talking about? I still feel like whatever Portland ends up with, the bulk of our accumulative rain is going to be early through mid-morning or late morning at most. So the AM hours, much drier in the PM hours. We'll see if that holds true. This puts a fetch of 3/10 of an inch of rain around Tillamook. Looks like maybe a little bit more than upper end Astoria. Shows 22 100s in Portland, but then you drop down to the Willamette Valley and you've got two 100s down in Salem, which that makes sense of what we just looked at, right? A little bit of rain up in the Cascades. And then you got the heavy rain bullseyes almost entirely up in Washington. So there's Seattle, 45, 42, 100ths of an inch. Tacoma, Olympia, 3/10 of an inch of rain. An inch of rain in the central Washington Cascades and even higher rain amounts as you head up north in the Washington Cascades. Nothing really making it um, over the Cascades here in Oregon. You've got some showers that make it all the way through the gorge, light stuff out in the Dalles, and that's it. So this could be right on the money, actually. Could be right on the money. Okay, the other story I wanted to show you, and what's cool about tomorrow is that statistically we are still in the bullseye of the driest time of our year, which means you feel for people who made outdoor plans in the morning because history says they're going to be dry. So that part is a bummer. But as you know, any measurable rainfall we can pick up this time of the year is a blessing. I mean, it's really great. Okay, now let's talk about the weather flow. Let's get into the hot weather that we're tracking, which I'm not going to get into overly detail because it's still a ways out. But this is tomorrow morning. You see the trough right here? Notice the pressure height, 576. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know the 576 contour, when it comes to systems migrating or advancing off the Pacific, typically you're dry south of the 576 contour and wet to the north. Well, the weather models show Washington much wetter than Oregon, so that makes sense. And if you take literally absolute what I just said, this would show it's pretty much dry in Salem. You can definitely see there's a trough and there's a front. This is tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. And then here's the afternoon. That trough package was back here, but the trailing low still impacts us going into Thursday morning. Here's the low up around the Canadian border. You would assume this is helping to bring in a marine layer of low clouds Thursday that will start off cloudy. Could be some light mist with that low cloud cover. And then we'd probably hold in the 70s during the day with some partial clearing. Now, notice the 594 high out here. This is that Pacific high that's going to bring us the hot weather that I'm tracking next. So we're pretty comfortable through Friday. Saturday, we start to warm well up into the 80s. Here's Saturday afternoon, 597 high. We're on the front quadrant of the ridging, warm air kind of being pushed inland. Sunday's the first day that could be up into the 90s. Now, you don't see this that often, and I may be incorrect, but I want to say 20 years ago, you never saw this. I'm talking about in our area, especially ridging out in the Pacific, a 600 millibar high. That's very strong high pressure that will produce compressive heating and that will be responsible for the stretch of heat that we're going to have. This is Sunday. And again, the center of the heat is more west than east. So there's Sunday in the 90s. Everything points to Monday and Tuesday being the two hottest days. Here's Monday. I mean, not much change. We're on the front quadrant of that high. Notice by Tuesday, this backs that high out, but we're still pretty warm. And then I just want to let this go. So here is here's 576. So the kind of dry, wet 576 contours all the way up over the Canadian border. This is a week from this Friday, Friday the 15th. So the point is, I think this will play through the 20th. And if you just look at the upper flow pattern, you really don't come up with any good chance of rain. So we could very easily be dry through the 20th once we get through tomorrow. And after that hot weather we have to start next week, this is kind of typical stuff. I see more 80s than I do 90s. Really kind of comfortable weather. Upper level highs here in Texas and Kansas and Nebraska producing some hot weather. And then it's also pushed way out into the North Pacific. There's C591 right there. Okay. So what are the temperatures showing? Well, tomorrow, if it's cloudy enough and rainy enough, even lingering in the afternoon, we could struggle in Portland to get up to 70. This shows mostly 60s around Portland, low 70s down in Salem, 60s up in Seattle. Nobody's hot statewide. Thursday, really comfortable, 70s up and down the Willamette Valley, Seattle, low 80s out in the Columbia Basin, 60s at the coast, 81 down in Medford, really comfortable. Friday, we're going to start to see some warming, but not much. The show's generally around 80 to low 80s from Portland all the way down into Eugene, 88 in Medford, upper 80s in the Columbia Basin, upper 70s to or 76 to 80 up around Seattle. Okay. Saturday, I still think we are shy of 90. This shows low 80s to mid 80s in the Willamette Valley. And then Sunday's the first day that we could crack 90 degrees, which would become the 12th 90-degree day of this season so far, which compared to the last few summers isn't bad. We can still have a lot of 90-degree heat though, all the way at least into mid-September, remember. Okay. So we're not done. Here we got low to mid 90s. That's reasonable. From Portland down through Eugene, Medford 97, mid 90s generally out in the Columbia Basin. A lot of the models show Monday could be the warmest or hottest day. Look at the red brick color. So here's Monday. Now, this is the American GFS model. I switched models and I forgot to tell you. The American GFS model is the hottest. So I wanted to show it to you. It's the hottest. So keep in mind, while this one is showing 100-degree temperatures in places like Albany down in Marion County, and 97, 98 in Portland, the other models are more like mid 90s. Again, this is the hot one. But it does show that chance of 100-degree weather in the Willamette Valley. It shows 100 down in Medford, shows 100 out in the Columbia Basin. And then Tuesday, 100s in the Columbia Basin. This takes the edge of the heat off the Willamette Valley, but still keeps us up in the 90s. It's interesting that while this model is the hottest overall in terms of the output for Monday, it also starts to cool us off more quickly. So the European model, for example, instead of being upper 90s to 100 on Mondays, mid 90s. The European model on Tuesday, you're looking at here, is mid 90s, while the GFS cools us down into the 93, 94, 95. I mean, close, but the European will be a little bit hotter. And then you go to Wednesday, the European model says Portland could still be around 90, while this model goes 84, 85 in Portland, 88 in Salem, 86 down in Eugene, 93 Medford, 90s out in the Columbia Basin. And then all of the model data says that no later than Thursday, we're quite a bit cooler here on the west side. This shows 70s Seattle, about 80 in Portland, Salem, 87 in Medford, low 90s out in the Columbia Basin. Okay. I don't foresee a lot of wind with however this plays out. I mean, tomorrow there is a weather front coming in, so typically you would see at least some period somewhere where you've got west winds that are a little noticeably breezy, 15 to 20 miles per hour, and that would be it. Gorge winds will be picking up though. You get this cool air advection with the front. The gorge winds will at least be blowing at times tomorrow, 20 to 30 and maybe stronger. Okay. Let's go around the horn. Again, these are, let me refresh it. These should be 230 temps. They are 84 in Medford. Near 90 today, tomorrow, 88 Thursday, 95 Friday. And then Medford, there's the heat on Sunday, 104, 107. Wow. That's from the National Weather Service. All right, Pendleton. 86, 81, 79. Chance of showers Thursday. Pretty comfortable into the weekend. 87 Saturday, then heating up. Sunday 92, Monday 96. But nothing outrageously bad, right? Remember the hot weather, the center of the ridging is more on the west side of our state to begin next week, not out east. Let's go Bend. 84, 80, and then cooler on Thursday, 77. Doesn't look like any of the moisture gets over the Cascade, so dry. And then you've got the hot weather coming back in Sunday 92, and there's Monday 96. Okay. Everything kind of lining up the way we've been talking about. Salem, 82 this afternoon, 70s, maybe not even mid 70s. A chance of rain, they put at 50-50 tomorrow for the Mid Valley. And then here comes the weekend, 87 Saturday, 96 Sunday, 97 Monday. There's the hot weather starting to build. Up in Seattle, showers tomorrow, chance of showers into Thursday, and then all dry, warmest weather Sunday, 82, Monday, 85. All right, that's pretty comfortable. That's not bad, right? Astoria, let's see here. 71 Saturday, 77 Sunday, 75 Monday. So there's some nice, warm coastal weather expected at this point, this upcoming weekend in the first part of the week. And of course, the showers at the beach Wednesday and into Thursday morning potentially. Okay. North Bend, let's see, all 60s except for a 70-degree temperature on Monday of next week. Chance of showers on Wednesday. Yeah. All right. So with that said, here's my 7-day forecast. Not a lot of new information from when I talked to you last, but it is updated, so it gives you an idea of the pattern we're still tracking. Partly cloudy out there this afternoon, on track to hit 80. I've got 72 tomorrow, but if it's cloudy enough in the afternoon and we have some lingering shower activity, then maybe it's more like 68, 69 tomorrow. And then Thursday, clouds to sun, 70s, rain chances over. And then a gradual warm up, Friday 82, Saturday 86, and then the heat, 94 Sunday, 98 Monday. Right now, I'm looking at my sheet. I've got 95 on Tuesday and potentially still 90 Wednesday before we cool off into the 80s that Thursday. This is brought to you by Hazeldale Tire Pros up here in Vancouver off of I-5. All right. I'm Rod Hill. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps me out. You'll be notified when I post. I'll talk to you soon.